Hey, before you scroll past, I want to show you something. Take a look at this clay pot. It is old, it is simple. It is made of dirt, sand, and charcoal. And scientists have confirmed this thing cleans water better than a $50 plastic filter from the store. Not a little better, a lot better. We are talking about removing 99.9% of harmful bacteria. No electricity, no replacement parts, no monthly subscription, just a pot, just sand, just charcoal. So why don't we use it? Why did we replace something that worked perfectly with plastic junk that breaks after 6 months? That is exactly what we are going to talk about today. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you will know how to build this yourself for less than $5, and it will last you for years. Let's start with something real. Right now, today, more than 2 billion people on this planet do not have access to clean drinking water. 2 billion people. That is 1 out of every 4 humans alive. And you might think, okay, that is a poor country problem. That does not affect me. But here's the thing. In 2024, the Environmental Protection Agency in America, the richest country in the world, found that over 45 million Americans were drinking water that violated federal health standards. 45 million people in America drinking bad water. In Pakistan, millions of people drink groundwater that is contaminated with arsenic and other chemicals from farming. In India, entire villages have been dealing with fluoride poisoning from their own wells for decades. And what is the solution that gets offered? Buy a filter, buy bottled water. Install a reverse osmosis machine. A good under-sink water filter costs between $200 and $500. Then you need to buy replacement cartridges every few months. That is another $50 to $100 every year forever. Bottled water. The average family in Pakistan spends thousands of rupees per month on water bottles. And here is the dirty secret. Studies have shown that up to 40% of bottled water is just tap water in a plastic bottle. You are paying premium price for the same water you were trying to avoid. And all of that plastic. It ends up in our rivers, our soil, our food. We created a massive, expensive, polluting industry to solve a problem that ancient people solved for free 3,000 years ago. That makes me angry, and it should make you angry too. So, let's go back, way back, around 1,000 years before the birth of Christ. So roughly 3,000 years ago, engineers in ancient Persia were building something extraordinary. They were called qanats, underground water channels. Some of them stretched over 50 kilometers, carrying water from mountains all the way down to dry desert cities, with no pumps, no electricity, no machines of any kind. Just gravity, just math, just human intelligence. But here's the problem they ran into. By the time water traveled through all that rock and soil, it picked up minerals, dirt, and tiny organisms that made people sick. So Persian engineers developed a solution. They placed large clay pots at the end of each water channel. The water would slowly seep through the walls of the clay and come out clean on the other side. This was not luck. This was engineering. The same idea appeared completely independently in ancient Egypt. Paintings inside Egyptian tombs, dating back over 3,500 years, show servants using sand and cloth to filter water before it was given to pharaohs. In ancient India, a text called the Sushruta Samhita, written around 600 BCE, describes a water purification system using sand, gravel, and charcoal. It even describes how to test if water is clean. Written down thousands of years ago. In pre-Columbian South America, the Inca civilization built elaborate water systems in the Andes Mountains that used multiple stages of natural filtration. These systems fed millions of people for hundreds of years. These civilizations were spread across the entire globe. They had no contact with each other. They spoke different languages, worshipped different gods, ate different food, but they all arrived at the same conclusion. Water filtered slowly through natural materials, clay, sand, charcoal, comes out clean. That is not a coincidence. That is a universal truth that human beings discovered independently, over and over again, because it is real. Now, let me explain why this actually works. Because this is not magic. This is chemistry and biology. The ancient filter has 3 main layers, and each layer does something specific and important. Layer 1, gravel at the bottom. The bottom layer is coarse gravel or small stones. This layer does not do much filtering by itself. Its job is to support the layers above it and to allow the filtered water to drain out cleanly without stirring up everything else. Think of it as the foundation. Not glamorous, but necessary. Layer 2, charcoal in the middle. This is where things get interesting. Charcoal, especially activated charcoal, is one of the most porous materials on the planet. Here is a number that is hard to believe at first. 1 single gram of activated charcoal has a surface area of over 3,000 square meters. 3,000 square meters means something the size of a sugar cube. How is that possible? Because charcoal is full of tiny, microscopic holes and tunnels. And all of those surfaces are chemically attracted to contaminants. Pesticides get stuck to charcoal. Chlorine gets stuck to charcoal. Heavy metals get stuck. Chemical runoff from farms gets stuck. Things that sand cannot remove, charcoal grabs onto and holds. Ancient people did not know the chemistry, but they noticed something. Water stored near the remains of a fire, near charcoal, tasted better, smelled better, made people less sick. And so they started putting charcoal in their water systems, intentionally for thousands of years. They were right, and now we have the science to prove why. Layer 3, fine sand at the top. The sand layer is the thickest and most important layer. Fine sand acts like a physical net. The gaps between sand grains are so small that parasites, large bacteria clusters, and debris simply cannot pass through. They get physically trapped. But here is the part that most people, even educated people, do not know about. After the sand has been wet for about 2 weeks, something magical starts to happen on the top surface. A thin biological layer forms. Scientists call it the Schmutzdick, a German word that literally means dirt blanket. But this blanket is not just dirt. It is alive. It is a dense community of bacteria, tiny fungi, and microscopic organisms. And these organisms, get this, they eat pathogens. They consume the harmful bacteria and viruses in the water. They break them down. They make the water safe. A layer of sand left alone, kept wet, becomes a living, breathing water purifier. This is not science fiction. This is documented biology. What do the studies say? In 2015, a study published in the Journal of Water and Health tested Biosand filters, which are essentially these ancient systems, built with modern precision against standard water quality metrics. The results were clear. Biosand filters removed up to 99.9% of E. coli and other harmful bacteria. They removed 100% of Giardia and Cryptosporidium parasites that cause severe stomach illness and are notoriously hard to kill. They significantly reduced viruses, 99.9% removal, no electricity, no plastic, no replacement parts. For comparison, a standard commercial water filter that costs $200 removes about 99% of bacteria under ideal conditions. And you need to replace the cartridge every 6 months. The ancient system, built correctly, outperforms modern plastic technology. This is the question that really bothers me. This system works so well, if the science confirms it, if millions of people used it successfully for thousands of years, why are we not using it today? Why did we replace it with plastic? The answer has a few layers. The money layer. The global water filtration industry is worth over $45 billion per year. That includes replacement filter cartridges designed to be thrown away every few months. Bottled water, where the product itself costs almost nothing to make, but sells for 1,000 times the price of tap water. Industrial reverse osmosis systems, which require electricity to run, and produce 3 gallons of wastewater for for every 1 gallon of clean water produced. An ancient sand and charcoal filter, once built correctly, lasts for years. You do not need to buy anything. You cannot charge a subscription for sand. You cannot build a $45 billion industry on a clay pot. So the financial incentive to promote ancient water knowledge is essentially zero. And the financial incentive to ignore it, or better, to discredit it, is enormous. The development arrogance layer in the 20th century, wealthy nations sent development programs to poorer countries around the world. And these programs brought with them a very specific attitude. The attitude was, we have modern technology and you have primitive methods. We are here to upgrade you. Plastic pipes replaced clay aqueducts. Electric pumps replaced hand-dug wells. Industrial filtration plants replaced community sand filters. In many cases, the new systems worked as long as spare parts were available, as long as there was reliable electricity, as long as trained technicians were nearby to fix problems. But in remote villages, spare parts are not available. Electricity goes out. Technicians are far away. And when the modern system broke down, the local knowledge that could have replaced it, the knowledge of clay pots and sand filters that had been passed down for generations, was already gone, intentionally replaced. Considered embarrassing. A 2024 United Nations Development Program report called this exactly what it was: the erasure of indigenous water knowledge. And now the UN is spending millions of dollars trying to recover that same knowledge they spent decades discrediting. The invisible layer there is one more reason this knowledge disappeared. And this one is simpler. Nobody made money teaching it. Ancient water filtration knowledge did not belong to any company. It was not patented. It was not trademarked. It was public knowledge passed from grandparents to grandchildren, from farmers to farmers. Nobody had a financial reason to write books about it. Nobody had a financial reason to advertise it. Nobody had a reason to make YouTube videos about it. Until now. Okay, let's get practical. Here is exactly how to build this filter. I am going to walk you through it step by step, in plain language, with no complicated tools or expensive materials. What you will need first, your container. You can use a large clay pot. This is the traditional method, and it works beautifully because the porous clay walls do extra filtering on their own. You can also use a large plastic bucket, a concrete block, or even a food-grade metal container. The container should be at least 30 centimeters deep. The deeper, the better. Second, coarse gravel. Small stones about the size of a marble or smaller. You can collect these from a river or buy them cheaply from a garden shop. Third, charcoal. You can use charcoal from a wood fire, the black pieces, not the ash. Or you can buy activated charcoal from a pharmacy or health store. Crush it into pieces roughly the size of a pea. Fourth, fine sand. The finer, the better. River sand works well. Play sand from a hardware store works well. Avoid sand from the beach. It contains salt, which is not helpful. Fifth, a piece of cloth, cotton fabric, or dried grass to act as a pre-filter at the top. Sixth, a second clean container to collect the filtered water at the bottom. Total cost, probably less than $5 if you are collecting materials yourself. Maybe $10 if you are buying everything from a store. Step 1. Prepare your container. If you are using a clay pot, the natural porosity of the clay will help with filtration. No extra holes needed. If you are using a plastic bucket or concrete container, use a nail or drill to make 4 to 6 small holes in the bottom. These holes allow the filtered water to drip out into your collection container below. Step 2. Add the gravel layer. Pour 8 to 10 centimeters of coarse gravel into the bottom of your container. Rinse it first with clean water to remove dust and loose soil. This is your support layer. It holds everything above it and allows water to drain freely without blocking. Step 3. Add the charcoal layer on top of the gravel. Add 5 to 7 centimeters of crushed charcoal. Rinse the charcoal gently before adding it. The first rinse will run black and that is fine. Keep rinsing until the water runs mostly clear. This charcoal layer is your chemical trap. It will grab onto pesticides, chlorine, and chemical contaminants that sand cannot remove. Step 4. Add the sand layer. This is the most important step. Add at least 30 to 40 centimeters of fine sand on top of the charcoal. The thicker this sand layer, the better your filtration will be. Some people add 50 or even 60 centimeters of sand. More is better here. Rinse the sand before adding it as well. Pour clean water through it until it runs clear. Pack the sand gently, not tight enough to completely block water flow, but firm enough that it does not shift around easily. Step 5. The biological waiting period. This is the step that most people skip, and it is the most important step of all. Do not use your filter for drinking water immediately. For the first 2 weeks, pour water through the filter every single day. Let it run through and collect at the bottom. Do not drink this water yet. What you are doing is seeding the biological layer, the schmooch stick, in the top few centimeters of sand. You are giving the helpful microorganisms time to establish their community. After 2 weeks, the biological layer will be active. Your filter will now be fully operational. I know it is hard to be patient, but skip this step and you will only have mechanical filtration, which is good, but not as powerful. Follow this step and you will have biological filtration on top, which is extraordinary. Step 6. Using your filter. Pour water slowly into the top of the filter. Do not pour large amounts quickly. Let the water soak in gently and work its way down through the layers. The ideal flow rate is slow. For a standard household filter, you want no more than 100 to 200 liters of water passing through per day. The filtered water will drip out the bottom into your collection container, or extra safety, solar disinfection. If you want an additional layer of protection against viruses, do this after filtering. Take your filtered water. Pour it into a clear plastic bottle or clean glass jar. Place it in direct sunlight for 6 hours during the day or 2 days if the weather is cloudy. Ultraviolet radiation from the sun will kill any remaining viruses in the water. This method is called SODIS, solar water disinfection. It is endorsed by the World Health Organization and the United Nations. It is completely free. Sand filter plus 6 hours of sunlight equals water that is safe to drink almost anywhere on Earth. Maintenance? Every 2 to 3 months, scoop out the top 2 to 3 centimeters of sand from your filter. You will notice it has turned dark. That is the biological layer doing its job, trapping material. Rinse this sand, let it sit for a day, and then put it back. Wait 1 to 2 weeks for the biological layer to re-establish itself before drinking the filtered water again. That is the only maintenance required. No cartridges, no tools, no technician. Here is what I want you to walk away thinking about today. The ancient world was not primitive. Ancient people were not stupid. They were resourceful. They were observant. They solved enormous problems with the materials in front of them, and they solved those problems well enough that their solutions lasted for thousands of years. The Biosand filter is not a relic of the past. It is not a curiosity for history books. It is being actively used right now. Today, an organization called CAWST, the Center for Affordable Water and Sanitation. Technology has deployed Biosand filters in over 60 countries. Over 1 million people currently drink safe water every day because of this technology. It's not because of a new invention. It's because of a very old one. In rural Cambodia, in villages in Nepal, in communities across sub-Saharan Africa, children who used to get sick from contaminated water are growing up healthy because someone taught their parents how to build a clay pot filter with sand and charcoal for $5 with no electricity, with no supply chain, with no plastic cartridge that needs replacing. I think about what it means that we nearly lost this knowledge. I think about all the people who got sick and the children who died from waterborne disease, in the gap between when we abandoned ancient knowledge and when we rediscovered it. And I think, what else have we forgotten? What other simple, elegant, ancient solutions are sitting in old manuscripts and old memories, waiting for someone to pay attention? That is why we make these videos. Because sometimes the best technology is not the newest. Sometimes it is 3,000 years old and still waiting for us to catch up. If this video gave you something to think about, please hit subscribe. Every week, we dig into forgotten technologies, ancient knowledge, and the things that modern society decided were not worth keeping, and show you why they were wrong. If you build this filter, leave a comment below. I read every single one. And if you want to share photos, drop them in the community tab. I feature the best ones every month. The full step-by-step written guide is linked in the description, completely free. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.